Hey love, I've been turning this moment over in my mind for weeks, rehearsing the sentences while I wash dishes, while I'm driving, while I'm wide awake at 3 in the morning staring at the ceiling fan. I knew I had to share every knot in my chest with you, even if my voice trembles while I do it. You deserve an answer that honors the depth of your patience and the sincerity of your questions. So here it is, unfiltered, vulnerable, and as complete as I can make it. First, let me say the thing that matters most. I adore you. Your laugh, the way your brow furrows when you're solving a puzzle, the soft warmth of your hand in mine when neither of us is speaking, these details are engraved on me. That's why it feels almost blasphemous to admit that I'm scared. Scared enough that the very word marriage sends a tremor through my bones. Not because I doubt us. I doubt the still unfinished, half-sketched version of me that would stand at the altar. Since childhood, I've carried this almost obsessive need to stay in motion. My mother used to call me her little runaway, not because I ever bolted from home, but because even as a kid I'd map exit routes in my imagination, just in case. Safety, in my mind, equaled mobility. And marriage, for all its beauty, still looks like a door that locks from the outside. I know that isn't how healthy partnerships work, but my instinctual wiring hasn't caught up with my rational brain yet. There's another layer I need to acknowledge. The divorces I witnessed growing up. When you're 10 and you watch two of your favorite adults sign papers that feel like emotional eviction notices, something inside you absorbs that fracture. I've spent years promising myself I'll never be careless with someone's heart, never trade vows I can't uphold. But that promise morphed into perfectionism. If I can't guarantee flawless forever, a small voice whispers, maybe staying unmarried is safer for both of us. I know that voice is fear masquerading as wisdom, but it's loud. Then there's the question of freedom. You know how fiercely I guard my independence. The solo hikes, the spontaneous road trips, the nights I disappear into a bookshop until closing. None of those are incompatible with marriage. But I keep worrying about the subtle compromises, missing those micro moments of solitude that recharge me because I feel guilty leaving you alone on a Sunday afternoon. It's silly when I write it down, yet the anxiety persists. Will you still see me as whole if parts of me occasionally wander? On top of all that swirl an array of practical anxieties. Finances. Children, whether or not to have them, when, how many, and the moral weight of shaping new humans in such an unsettled world. The pressure of merging lives legally and administratively, healthcare forms, emergency contacts, housing decisions, retirement plans. These are manageable with teamwork, I know, but sometimes they stack inside my head like heavy boxes teetering toward collapse. Lately, I've also battled an undercurrent of imposter syndrome. You talk about me as if I'm this steady, capable partner, but some evenings I feel like a kid wearing shoes 2 sizes too big. I wonder if I can be the spouse you deserve, the one who shows up unflinchingly in sickness, who navigates conflict with grace, who loves you in the dialects you best understand. Until I figure out why my confidence keeps short-circuiting, the thought of wedding vows feels premature, maybe even presumptuous. And yet, please hear this. My hesitation has nothing to do with a lack of love. I love you so intensely it sometimes scares me more than the prospect of forever. You have become the mirror that reflects not only my strengths, but also the parts I've skillfully avoided confronting. That can feel intimidating, but it's also a gift other relationships never offered. You invite me to grow. You don't demand perfection. You ask for authenticity. So I'm offering it now, raw and unedited. I've begun taking steps, quiet, deliberate ones, to address these inner knots. I started therapy again last month. I've been journaling every morning, dumping my catastrophizing thoughts onto paper, so I can see which fears are concrete and which are smoke. I'm reading books on attachment styles and listening to podcasts about conflict-healthy marriages. None of this is a cure-all, but each step is a brick in the bridge I want to build between where I am and where we both hope I'll be. There's another piece too. I need to explore what we want our marriage to look like instead of measuring us against someone else's template. Maybe forever for us includes seasons of travel or years when one of us pursues a dream that shifts our geography. Maybe it means we have separate bank accounts plus a shared one. Maybe we promise annual retreats away from daily life to recalibrate. If we design our future with intention, the walls of it won't feel like confinement. They'll feel like shelter. I know this request requires patience from you, more than I have any right to ask for. If the roles were reversed, I'd probably struggle with waiting too. So if at any point you find the uncertainty unbearable, please say so. I won't hold it against you. Your emotional well-being matters as much as mine. But if you are willing, I'd love for us to treat this period not as limbo, but as a season of intentional preparation. Think of it as laying foundations properly so the house we build never cracks under its own weight. Here's what that could look like over the next 12 months. Joint sessions with a premarital counselor, even before we set a wedding date, to surface latent expectations and learn conflict skills in a safe environment. Financial transparency nights once a quarter, pizza, spreadsheets, no judgment, so money stays a conversation, not a secret. Solo quests for each of us. You pick a personal ambition you've shelved. I pick mine. We pursue them with mutual cheerleading, proving freedom can thrive inside commitment. Friendship audits, meeting each other's support circles more intentionally, because a marriage is also an alliance of communities. Regular checkpoints, maybe every other month, to ask, how do you feel about the pace? Do we adjust the timeline or celebrate progress? If that sounds workable, let's sketch it together. If it sounds exhausting, let's modify or scrap it. The point is collaboration, not compliance. Now let me address a worry you may be carrying. What if my hesitation is a proxy for not loving you enough? Please believe me when I say the love is abundant. When I imagine my future, your laughter is there. When I imagine victories, you're the first person I want to call. When life punches me, your voice is the one that steadies my breathing. Love is not the variable, readiness is. And readiness is something I'm actively cultivating, not passively waiting to appear. Another fear you might have. What if this is an endless delay tactic? I promise I won't let that happen. We'll set concrete review dates for this conversation so it never gets swallowed by the business of life. If after genuine effort, I still find myself paralyzed, I will own that and we can reassess together, neither of us trapped in a perpetual maybe. I also want to take responsibility for any mixed signals I've sent. There were evenings I spoke about venues or playlists as if the wedding were weeks away, then other nights when I went quiet as stone. That inconsistency wasn't fair to you. It sprang from my battle between excitement and terror. I'm sorry for every confusing moment it caused, and for the emotional whiplash you endured. Speaking of excitement, there is a part of me that thrills at the idea of marrying you. Picture us writing our own vows under a canopy of trees or dancing barefoot after everyone else has gone home. Picture anniversaries where we read those vows again to see how far we've grown. Picture arguing about paint colors, then laughing because we both secretly love the same shade. These visions aren't hypothetical, they're seeds. I just need time to nurture them into something resilient enough to plant. If you choose to walk beside me through this messy middle, I can't promise a friction-free journey, but I can promise honesty. When the fear spikes, I'll tell you. When I have breakthroughs in therapy, I'll share them. When I picture our future with clarity instead of fuzz, you'll be the first to know. Transparency will be my proof of commitment while we're still building toward formal vows. Should you ever feel restless or uncertain yourself, I ask that you voice it too. Let's normalize messy conversations so the silence doesn't metastasize into resentment. Your fears, your dreams, your negotiables and non-negotiables, they matter just as much. This can't be about me dragging you along my processing timeline. It has to be about mutual growth. Before I close, I want to acknowledge how brave you've been in loving me. It takes courage to tether your heart to someone who's still learning the art of standing still. Every day you choose me, flaws and all, and that choice humbles me. I don't take it for granted, and I don't ever want complacency to erode my gratitude. So where do we go from here? Tonight, maybe we pour 2 cups of tea and sit on the balcony, letting the city murmur around us. No pressure to solve everything in one sitting, just presence. Then, over the next few weeks, we map the tangible steps that help us both feel secure, whether that's therapy agendas, date night experiments, or simply scheduling more time with friends who remind us relationships can be both grounded and free. I started this letter afraid it would end in rupture, but as I write, I feel a surprising current of hope. Because honesty is oxygen, and I can finally breathe again, knowing these words are out in the open. Whatever happens next, we'll be making the choice together, eyes wide open, hearts informed. Thank you for reading this far, for holding space for my tangled thoughts. Thank you for being the person who makes facing my fears feel worth the risk. I love you for your patience, your humor, your impossible generosity. I love you enough to be this vulnerable, and I trust you enough to let the future unfold at a pace that honors us both. With all my messy, earnest heart, me.